Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone, for sticking it out today. And we're coming close to the end. Wine o'clock is not so far away now. There'll be wine and nibbles at 5 o'clock. But we conclude in two ways. One is I'm going to invite, firstly, Tony to talk from his perspective for a few minutes of Converge. And then Meg, who is a third-year theatre student, to talk for a moment from her perspective of Converge. I'll just say a moment, just a few more words, and we're going to conclude with a musical piece written by Ewan East, and Ewan will be playing here, based on the findings. So a musical response to conclude the day. So it's an interesting and new thing for us, and I'm looking forward to that. But firstly, I'm going to ask Tony to say a few words about your experience, Tony, of Converge. So thank you very much for doing that.
Hello everybody, I'm Tony Scully. All the colourful people who were on before me. I feel like I'm at a funeral now. So. Hello everyone, my name's Tony Scully, and I feel really humbled that Professor Rowe has asked me to talk to you today, especially following such distinguished speakers and that fantastic creative arts. But he's only given me 4 minutes, so I better hurry up. I often make notes in my diary, you know, how many goals it took me to complete Wordle or not, which country I should emigrate to now that we've got a new Prime Minister, and thoughts for the day, which I picked up from various sources and jotted down. Today, the thought I had written says, allow your confidence to grow by copying the good practice of others, which seems rather fitting since my confidence has grown through the good practice of others, all of you people here at Converge. And I hope I'm copying your good practice in my own small way. I came to Converge via Horizons, a mental health and addiction unit in Northallerton. They pushed me on to be involved in the Pioneer Project Centre in Bentham, Lancashire, which I did. It was they who pushed me on, as I'm on to the side at Pennines, towards Converge based at York University, which they have links with, as it was geographically closer to my home. And the unit at York pushed me on to Northumbria Converge, where a creative writing project was about to start. And I've just realised that there's a pattern emerging here, isn't there? At Northumbria, with the professional direction of Ali Hunter Byron and Steve Byron, I became involved in Sofa to Stage, which was to write, perform and film my own dramatic monologue, while sharing the creative process on Zoom with other students, and many of them are here today. Mine was called Shoes, and it received some very positive reviews. I'm very grateful for the opportunity I was given and all the aid, the encouragement and advice from tutors and students. In the meantime, to get my own back, I bombarded the offices at Converge York with some of my poetry, and both Dr. Ruth Knight, Ethan Butteris, and other members of the research unit were very encouraging in their assessments of it. Somehow, these evaluations and encouragements, without any judgment of myself as a person, gave me real confidence and broke a dam of creativity in me. I owe this to all the people who've helped me along the way, but to Converge at York and Northumbria in particular. You all do outstanding work. Now, I've read the research that has been produced about Converge for this conference, and one of the things that caught my interest was how much people have been affected simply by the aura of York University, its history, the people, the buildings, and how they have enjoyed the chance to become a valued part of this dynamic living being. And I thought, wow, you know, that's something that's never really struck me before. But then, as I was preparing this talk, I was trawling through my Converge work and I found a poem I'd written. I hope you don't mind my sharing it with you and ending my talk with it. It seems rather fitting somehow. It's called Release, on our first meeting after COVID. That day was an important day for me when I would put a body to the face I'd made myself familiar with on Zoom. And as I felt their welcome cross the room, my spirit heaved a sigh. Not mere relief, but soulful recognition that we'd shared together some small segments of ourselves. We're meeting now, this instant, face to face. An undiscovered country then emerged. Carl, talking philosophical and wise, revealing his release through art and word. Proud Mary, telling us of what she'd done to lift her brother's aspirations high. The progress that he'd made was her delight. Ethan and Ruth, who listened, gave support, encouraged us to take another step along this healing path where we'd converged for these few minutes on a sun-kissed day, wandering the ancient campus, gardened quads, the building's stones all warmed, hospitable. They resonate with their long histories that we're all part of now, insoluble. Each one of us a slice of someone's life, forever, through this meeting, fellowship, learning about each other fresh and new. I've grown from it. I hope that you have too.
Tony, that was wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. What a wonderful poem and entitled Release. That's right. Thank you very much. And I'm going to invite Meg now, Meg Padgett, who's just entering her third year of the theatre course, to speak about being a student in Converge. Thanks, Meg.
So hi, I'm Meg. I'm a drama, education and community student here at York St John, currently going into my third year. And I just want to talk a bit about my experiences with volunteering for Converge and everything that has done for me. So I started with Converge almost 2 years ago now actually. Literally within the first week of university, in one of our Welcome Week sessions, one of our lecturers mentioned something about this place called Converge, and I was a very keen student. I wanted to get involved in as many new things as possible, so I was like, yeah, I'll go along, see what it's like, because back then I had no idea really what I wanted to do in the future. So I go along to this session, and as you saw earlier in the film, I was nervous, and I did have this puppet in my head being like, oh God, you've got to be confident, you're a student, you've got to, I was really putting so much pressure on myself to be a model student. But when I got there, I've realised that you don't have to be perfect all the time, and I've learnt a lot from the Converge students as much as I'm sharing things with them. They've really taught me a lot over my 2 years so far, and I'd just like to share some stories and examples of what Converge students have done for me. So there's an example. I started out in the dance course, and in one of the sessions, for some reason, my brain just stopped working, and I was really struggling to come up with this choreography that we were doing. One of the Converge students, she was quite new, she turned around to me and she was like, Meg, just calm down, just do it like this. And it was so simple. And I was like, do you know what? Yeah, that's a really good idea. And then from that, we worked together, and she explained to me how she was making this routine. And from that, we did actually end up creating a piece of dance together that we then performed at the end of that session. And I just always think of that every time I get myself in a bit of a panic about what I'm going to do next. It's really, you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself, even as a student. And that really opened my eyes, not only as me as a person and how I run sessions, but as a performer as well. It's really, she showed me a new way of making something that was so simple, but for some reason I couldn't grasp it. So it just goes to show that the shared knowledge between the Converge students and the university students it's a really big thing, and it's really done a lot for me. And not only that, I am now also a member of Out of Character Theatre Company after volunteering. Yay! After volunteering with the theatre course for a while, and that has led me onto so many new things for the future, and I'm just really excited because we have to do a big project in our third year where we all have to do an individual project basically. And my idea has entirely sprung from the work I've done with Converge. So I'll give a brief overview. I'm looking into the idea of place, and it's something that's came about earlier. I was in the session about environment, and it's came about that the environment that you're in can really impact you and the way you go about your day. So the idea is I'm going to be speaking to people involved in Converge and finding out which bits of the campus or wherever are most important to them in relation to their Converge journey. And then we're going to make like a promenade performance. I think someone was talking about promenade performance earlier, but I can't remember who. But it's very similar. And we're going to follow these stories around the campus of all these pop-up installations of where people have said is most important to them. And now I'm really interested in the idea of place and recovery, and I'm looking to pursue that further in my career. And I just don't think I would have ever thought of that if not being a part of Converge and out of character. So I'd just like to thank everyone for letting me be involved. And I just have learnt so much from Converge students, and I'm excited for my future with Converge, and then afterwards see where this project takes me. So thank you.
Thank you, Meg.
Well done.
Thank you very much, Tony, and thank you, Meg. That's fantastic. Thank you for those final replies. I think we're going to end with music in a moment, but it would be remiss of me not to say a thank you or two, a particularly special thank you to a number of people. Firstly, to all the responders throughout the day, those of you who did it in this room or in the other rooms, thank you so much. For the leaders of those groups, the three of you, Holly and Ruth, thank you very much for doing that for us. It's been really good. And all the work you've done in pulling this together. So very grateful to you for that. As always in events like this, there are two people who really have carried all the anxiety of it. One of whom, of course, is Harriet, who's there and who is an organisational master at keeping things together. I've never had a brief before, which tells me what I do at every moment of the day, which is fantastic, and we should do it more often. So Holly, Harriet, of course, has been central to this whole thing, and we could not have done it without her. And I've said this to you before, but we made the right choice with you, Harriet, and I look forward to staying in touch with you in the future. But I know that somebody's run a project that one of the most important people in all projects is the administrator, the person who holds it all together when wheels come off. And I can't see her being here. Oh, there she is, Holly at the back there. Can we give Holly a round of applause? I mean, she's been here at 8 o'clock at night. I've seen you at 8 o'clock at night, Holly. You've been here at 8 o'clock this morning. You've worried your way through all of this, but you've created a very effective conference for us all. So I'm very grateful to you. Well, grateful to you both, of course, but thank you. And thank you, everyone, for coming and being part of this day. It's been lovely to hear your responses to Converge, so many ideas to pick up and run with.